Order of operations, day 2, October 10th. Solve each one using the order of operations. And as a reminder, first we have parentheses, then we have exponents, then we have multiplication and division that happen together, and finally, addition and subtraction. Those are the 4 steps. So if we consider 14 minus 3 plus 6 plus 7 plus 8, the first thing we deal with the parentheses. And you might notice there are 2 sets of parentheses. So which one do we do first? Well, these are layered. So we start with the inside layer first, and we get 14 minus 3 is 11. So the first step, the inner parenthesis, we combine like so. Next up, the next layer of parentheses, 11 plus 6 is 17. And here we have 3 things to add. We can add them left to right. And we should get 32. Next up, we begin with the inner layer of parentheses. 12 minus 6 gives us 6. So if I add 4 to that, I get 10. So 5 plus 10 plus 8. And here I can add all 3 of these left to right, and I should get 23. Next up, notice I have 2 layers of parentheses. I will start with the inner layer. Here, I follow order of operations. Division occurs before subtraction. So the first thing I do is 15 divided by 5 is 3, and then I subtract 4. So I get 3 plus a negative 1 plus 6. Well, inside the parentheses, 3 plus a negative 1 is the same thing as 3 minus 1. So I get 2 plus 6, which gives me 8. Here on the right, the inner layer of parentheses gives me 12 minus 4 is 8. If I add this to 2, I get 10. So this becomes 9 plus 10 minus 3. Addition and subtraction happen at the same time, so I go left to right. 9 plus 10 is 19, minus 3, 16. For these last 2, notice I have nested parentheses again, so I will begin with the innermost parenthesis, which is here. And within that set of parentheses, I have exponents and subtraction. So I do the exponent first. 3 cubed is 3 times 3 times 3. So that is actually 27 minus 4. And everything else stays the same. So let's continue with that inner layer of parentheses. And that should have been 4 minus that. So 27 minus 4 is 23. So 4 minus 23 multiplied by 3 minus 8. I can complete this subtraction on both sides. This gives me a negative 19 multiplied by a negative 5. Since both of these are negative, my answer is going to come out positive, and I get 95. Here on the right, I start with my inner layer of parentheses. The exponents happen before the addition, so this becomes 4, and then I add 11 to that. So all of that gives me 15. So then when I take 2 minus 15, I end up with a negative 13. And then I have 5 minus 11 times a negative 13. 11 times a negative 13 gives me a 143, a negative 143 to be specific. And since I am subtracting a negative here, I am going to end up adding. So you should get 148.